So they march south first, and they've approached one of the major cities of the Roman occupation, which is the city of Camulodunum, which is modern day Colchester. And it is the former capital of the Trinovantes tribe as well. Now, a lot of the veterans that had been settled by the Romans were based here. So, one of the things of Roman colonization is they actually settle their veterans abroad in newly conquered areas to kind of help in the speeding up of the Romanization of the province. So a lot of the veterans were here, and there was also a big temple to Claudius, which had been erected by heavily extorting the locals. So that's not really a good symbol. And then the commanding, with knowing that such a threat was coming, Legio 9 Hispania was actually dispatched in parts to kind of reinforce the city. But Boudica had got the intel of their movements, and on the passage, on their way to the city, they were ambushed and massacred. But we unfortunately do not know where near Camulodunum it happened, and only like a few squadrons of cavalry and the overall force commander escaped. The rest of the men were slaughtered. And the Romans also asked like the kind of second in command to the governor, Catus Decianus, to send aid. Now, he was the guy who actually was leading the pillaging of the Iceni tribe because, as I'll get to, the governor was not available at this time to make a decision. And he just sends 200 poorly equipped auxiliary troops to the city's aid. Yep, that really helped. And the Romans within Camulodunum withdrew into the Temple of Claudius, which was kind of in the eastern side of the city. And they just held out for 2 days before it fell. And the city was methodically destroyed. Nothing was spared. And our great Catus Decianus whose actions kind of was the spark that triggered this revolt. He flees to Gaul, not willing to face the consequences of his actions. Now, at the same time, this is around this time, a messenger reaches Gaius Suetonius Paulinus, the governor of Roman Britain, as per the orders of Emperor Nero. So in the province, he is pretty much the emperor for all purposes. Everyone reports up to him. Greg, do you have anything you want to talk about Paulinus?
Yes, sure. Here, let me pull up a picture. There we go. This is the best picture I could find on him. You can see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, it's actually very ambiguous as to his early life, but most likely he was born in Pisarum, and he would end up serving as praetor in 40 AD, and then he was appointed governor of Mauritania, that's modern-day Morocco, in 41 AD. He would be suppressing, well, actually, he alongside another man, Gnaeus Hosidius Geta, would help suppress a revolt led by Edamon, and he would become the first Roman commander to lead troops across the Atlas Mountains. So yeah, he had a lot of experience in North Africa. In 58 AD, before becoming consul, Paulinus was appointed governor of Britain, replacing the recently dead Quintus Vernus. He continued Vernus's policies of aggressively subduing the tribes, especially those in Wales, and he was quite successful for over 2 years. He earned quite a reputation as a great military commander, and he would later become a rival to Cneius Domitius Corbulo. Now, bringing us up to date, in 60 AD, he assaulted the island of Anglesey, which was a refuge for British fugitives at that point, and it was a stronghold of the Druids. And yeah, during this point, when he was kind of doing that little campaign, it was then Boudica raised a revolt, kind of exploiting the situation because he was gone from like his main command center in the southwest, and then yeah, she would attack. So I guess you could say he was kind of taking with his pants down a little bit.
True enough. And it is funnily enough mentioning the assault on the Druids in Anglesey. The he had just completed a pretty crushing victory over the Druids at that time when the news reaches him, and uh, you know he goes there and he immediately withdraws his forces. So as his men, the infantry forces are moving back and marching down towards southern and central England, he actually rides ahead to the city of Londinium. I don't think it's quite evident which city is that. London, which is another major Roman city at the time. Craig, are you able to share those images? Uh, One second, let me just give it a last try. Is there an image visible?
No.
Okay, I don't know what Zoom's decided to do.
Yeah, one sec. I'll see. Yeah,
So,
so just continue on.
yeah. So, Londinium is the next target of the rebel forces, and Paulinus has, anyways, reached here with with some of his cavalry forces. So, it's just a few hundred horsemen, nothing really spectacular. He even contemplates briefly about defending the city, but then he just realizes, no, I need my army, and he retreats. But he did order the uh, population to evacuate and withdrew. And even though there is a destruction layer that was literally called the Boudica destruction horizon. Yes. So if now that Zoom has decided to work a bit, there's a map. So the purple line is what I drew to kind of give you an idea of how Boudica's revolt moved. So they started around the territory of the Iceni in near the Norfolk area, moved down to Camulodunum, and now they're at Londinium or London. The citizens evacuate with their portable wealth. Very few really stay, but there's still a few thousands who are murdered with when the hordes of Britannic warriors arrive. And the rebels burned Londinium, according to Tacitus, torturing and killing everyone who had not evacuated with the governor. And archaeology also shows a thick red layer of burnt debris covering the coins and pottery dating before 60, 61, 80. Yep. So this is actually, archaeologists have called this the Boudica destruction horizon. That is the thoroughness of the destruction she perpetrated.
Yes, for the audience, we're showing anthropology survey of what he was talking about.
True. And the next major settlement that was also destroyed was the city of Verulamium, which is modern day St. Albans. So it's just north of London. It's pretty close by. And you know, it was pretty gruesome what the captured Romans also got. In the between these three settlements, it's estimated between 70 to 80,000 Roman settlers had been killed. And according to Tacitus, the Britons had no interest in taking and selling prisoners, which I might add is quite lucrative for any kingdom at the time. And they were only interested in slaughter by gibbet, fire, or cross. And Cassius Dio just kind of adds another primary historian source. He just adds to the details. He's saying the noblest women were impaled on spikes and had their breasts cut off and sewn to their mouths, to the accompaniment of sacrifice, banquets, and wanton behavior in sacred places, particularly the groves of Andraste. Yeah, the ancient Britons were quite something. Now, it is not known, but some historians have suggested that the modern day city of Colchester was also destroyed, but there's very limited evidence to support it. But we do know that Camulodunum, Londinium, and Verulamium have been, completely destroyed. Now, as Paulinus retreats up Watling Street and moving towards, northwest and Wales, he's doing this to allow his legions to march down to meet him, which was campaigning with him against the Druids, and also, give them time to rest up and overstretch the enemy forces. Now, Paulinus at this time has the Legio 14 Gemina, which was a legion that had been raised by Julius Caesar during his Gallic Wars and had been serving since then. And he also had some temporary detachment Vexillatios from Legio 20 Valeria Victrix. Keep in mind, right now, Legio 9 Hispania has been completely destroyed by the rebels. Between these two, he has about 7,000 legionary infantry with him. He does try to have Legio 2 Augusta join him and sends orders. And Legio 2 is based in the southwest of England near the city of Exeter right now. And curiously, the camp prefect is the one that denies the request. The man was Ponius Postumus, which is quite curious because since he's the camp prefect, he's third in command of the legion. He's a veteran, decorated soldier who's served in the Roman military for decades, but it is not known why the legate was not there, nor was the young broad-striped military tribune, who's the number 2. Some suggestions say that they were already with Paulinus on his staff during the Anglesey campaign, or some say they were both sick. But either ways, Legio 2 does not move forward. He has 7,000, legionary infantry. Paulinus, anyways, and they move up Watling Street. Craig, do you have the picture of Watling Street that I shared? Yeah. So the blue, the previous one, please. The blue is kind of the road that we knew as Watling Street, which is where Paulinus and Boudica's forces went. He wants to draw them away to a battleground of his choosing, and we don't know where the real battleground is. One estimate is saying that it was in a grove that today would be about 25 miles west of Birmingham, which is where you could see broadly where the map ends. Now, I have to say, Craig, considering how the Romans used to fight in Scipio's time, and now they are way more tactful in the way they deploy for battle. Paulinus, could you go to the battle map, please? Yep. So Paulinus positions himself on the side as you can hear, which is hemmed in by the forest. This is on a gentle hill where you can see the Roman lines have been deployed, and it is flanked by forests on 2 sides and the rear. While it means there's no escape, it also has ensured that the Celtic horde, the Britannic horde that is going to come their way, is not going to be able to outflank them or get behind them. And the hills also, not only with the high ground of the terrain, have few defiles and passages, which acts as a choke point. So not many warriors can rush up at the same time to engage the Roman lines. As you can see on the map, the 7,000 legionary infantry form the core and center of the army, which is, as I said, made up of the 14th Legion with some detachments of the 20th Legion. On the flanks of them, as you can see, are a grand total of 6 auxiliary infantry cohorts. So that's about 3,000 men. They're not as heavily equipped, but pretty well equipped, especially in comparison to their opponents. And on the extreme flanks, you have the cavalry. He had 2 alloy of cavalry.